just wanted to go over how I take a video game asset and turn it into a 3D object. So one of the first things you want to do is you want to get some reference pictures, and you see here that I'm working in Photoshop. I'm trying to just make it as straight as possible on like the Z-axis, and I'll take multiple pictures and I'll shrink them down just so I have only the details that I really want to see, nothing more. Now I have to apologize because I'm trying to put together this little tutorial during my lunch breaks, and I have very loud co-workers, so you're probably going to hear them from time to time in the middle of going through everything. This game asset itself I pulled from Destiny STL generator. And I do apologize if you're having difficulty hearing me, because I'm just using a regular headset. I'm not a YouTube content creator, as you can clearly see on this video. Here you see I'm opening up Blender 2.79. I use 2.79 because that's how I learned and kind of used to the format and the way things work. I also like the way the booleans react, and right now I'm taking in a scale basically of my head, and I'm trying to scale the model to something that should fit. I know in the newer versions of Blender you can set it up so that it mimics the same shortcuts as 2.79, but I still prefer the layout and the GUI of the older version. So now you'll see me start changing colors of certain objects, just kind of give it their own little spot so I don't get things confused when I'm looking at two models together. And now I think I've got the right size. I'll take this thing and I'll probably make sure that it saves the size of the scale. And now it's time to divide and conquer. So what I do is I start taking little pieces apart. Take everything apart and pull things out. Because you can't have everything all in one. It's very difficult to work when everything is one piece. You'll see here that I'm highlighting everything. I'm trying to remove doubles, and what that does is it brings anything that has like double vertices or the lines that are too close together, it'll merge it into one, so make things a lot faster. So what you do is you highlight everything. I hit spacebar so I can enter a command, and what 279 is, you type in remove doubles, but in 3.0 I believe you go with merge by distance. As you can see, this is going to be a very tedious project to do, because you don't know. They sometimes have double faces layered on top of layers, basically, so that they can have effects when they're putting bitmaps to certain objects. You'll see that it's very basic the way it looks right now, because that's what video game assets should be. They should be very basic. So as you can see here, I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to just separate the one side out, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm missing as far as selecting certain polygons. So I'm going to take a request. Any songs you guys want to hear, just let me know. Play that same song! Okay, same song, coming right up. Now it looks like here that I've got everything I need for that one piece to separate it out, but I mean, even when you do it, you still sometimes miss pieces. So in order to make sure I get it, I like to drag it out. Well, note the original location of it by copying, in this case, the X position. Drag it out, and then I do press B, and then you can just highlight the whole area. But you have to do it while you can see through the object, and that's what you see why it's a little bit, when you click on that see-through portion, you get to see right through to the vertices and the polygons that are straight through on the back of the piece. And that button in 2.79 Blender is called Limit Selection to Visible, and when you select it at the bottom, you allows you to see right through. Now at this point, I forgot to add the picture for reference, and I like to add one right into the back. So this is me scaling up the picture just to get it to match up to what I have going on. So if you hit Z, you get the transparent straight through your model, and I'm trying to separate out anything first that's like out of the way or oblong or anything that's not a symmetric portion or part of this mask. So now by separating out the left side, I can kind of create as close to a symmetric mask as possible. And that'll make all your 3D editing a lot easier when you do that. Now, here I'm trying to just grab out anything that's bad, and as you can see here, this pose was already taken out from the original piece. So I no longer need it. I'm just going to get rid of it though. I just have to make sure I select every piece that, or part of it as possible. And you see here I missed a few. Now I no longer need that piece, but I'm probably not going to get rid of it, so I'll just probably relabel it so it has like an X on it. So one of the main important things you should do when you're working with these type of files is to be organized. And now here I'm trying to just get rid of half of the helmet altogether because I only want to do the work one side and then have it replicated on the other. So one of the add-ons you can do is called a mirror effect. And what that does is you can mirror a certain axis of your object that you're working on. And here you'll see me put one on. So here, using the mirror modifier, I'm trying to clip these together so that everything comes together as one piece, and I don't have to worry about any straight edges in the wrong spot. And now again, we start separating out one by one, piece by piece. Anything that looks like it's off, this actually ends up being the piece I'm working on right now, is some sort of effect for the helmet that I saw in the pictures that I figured it's not really worth keeping or keeping in the build, so I'll get rid of that portion. Now I'm still taking requests, so any other song you guys want to hear, any song at all, just let me know. I really like that last song. Okay, we'll do it again. Here it goes. And here's where organizing your labels actually comes in handy, making sure that everything that's a part of a certain spot, like whether it be the visor or base or front, back, this is where it actually comes in handy, labeling everything the way it's supposed to be. Here's an example where I said you remove one layer and you see a separate layer that's right below it. Then now you can see there's like two visors. One looks different than the other. One has the triangles on it. That's actually the detailed one that I want to keep. And the one below is kind of one I don't want to keep. So you'll see later on that I end up removing the one that's below while keeping the one that's above. At this point, you'll see me highlight everything, and I'll hit Alt-J. What that does is it turns any triangles that can be turned into a quad, it turns them into quads. And it's time to cut a hole in the bucket. As you can see here, we're going to start piecemealing the entire project apart one bit by one bit. Anything that's not a solid and single object, we kind of pull apart and then we'll bring it back together with modifiers later on. So you see me try to like separate it out. I'll try to move it out as evenly as possible. I want to select all the things, so you'll see me go through the transparency mode so I can see through the object, and then I'll highlight the whole thing, separate it out, and then relabel it. This method of separation needs to be rinsed and repeat throughout the entire project, one thing after another. It's going to get boring at this point because it's basically the same thing after this. Is trying to just pull apart the entire thing so that we can put back together something nice. You know what? Let's change it up with the songs and put it in something a little more upbeat, and I think you guys will like this one. Here it goes. And here I'm just attempting to separate out the main helmet from the rest of it to make it a little bit easier to separate out the smaller pieces that are below it. You'll see here that this piece that's left over is actually several different pieces. So, like a top, back, the two sides, and I believe a front piece that all have to be separated from each other. You look at how the polygons are intersecting in a a couple seconds. You see right there. And by hitting 5 on your keyboard, you actually change the view so you can actually get inside the object itself and start picking the pieces that need to be picked so you can pull these things apart. All right, let's take a look at the library and see if we can pull from another song. Here's Kevin MacLeod with a classic. Take it away, Kevin. At this point, I'm starting to notice that objects are not going exactly back where I want it to go. So if I move it on the y-axis and I copied the y-axis and I put it back, it's not coming through the same spot. That means that the scale and the rotation was not reset to 0, so I had to reset everything back to 0 for those things to work. Now, since I forgot to set the rotation and scale early on, that screwed up a couple of parts when I was trying to move them back and forth. And this is me trying to fix everything that I screwed up a little bit. But now it becomes more of an artistic and not a finite thing, where you're just trying to take a look at it and be like, okay, it looks like it should be here, or it looks like it should be there. And now I'm going to start breaking everything out further by giving it certain colors or different colors, so visually it makes it easier to inspect what I worked on, what I did, what I didn't do, and what I should do next. Okay, let's switch gears on the songs. Let's go to someone who made the Billboard's Top 100 list. Gonna put it out there. I'm sure you guys are gonna like it too. Here's from 2020's Top 100 list. And here comes the second and third main modifier add-ons I usually use. One's going to be Solidify. I like to put it at around 4 millimeters thick because I feel that's a decent thickness for a helmet. And the next thing is going to be Subdivision Surface, which allows for a smoother look. The problem with Subdivision Surface is you actually have to allow for where the sharp corners are. To do that, you have to tab into the project so you can see all the lines, and then you have to assign certain things. Now you see what's going on here is sometimes you can get a better thickness by changing a few attributes, or sometimes it just completely throws it out of whack. And when it throws it out of whack, you have to abandon whatever you're using at that point and go back to normal. And you'll see here that I have like a certain spot where the face wants to intersect itself, and so I'm going to start fixing certain things. Like here, right now, I'm trying to fix the way it broke down when I did the Control J. It turned the tris to quads. It screwed up a little bit of the work, so I'm trying to, at this point, make it more uniform look. Now, if you notice that little dark artifact right in the middle, that is an intersecting face, so I have to change things so I can get rid of it. Now you notice here that some edges are black, but other edges have a reddish hue, and that is the mean crease that I put on this model over here. I forgot to show you it on this port, but I'll probably show you it on one of the other ones. What you do is you just select the edges that you think should be crisp, and then you go to the mean crease on the right hand side and just make it bigger. Or you go close to 1. The closer you get to 1, the more hard the edge is. Here I'm trying to recreate the helmet, and so what you want to do is you want to hit Insert. I believe it's a Shift on it to kind of insert individually each one of those polygons, and then you do E to extrude it going inside. You can put like -2 or -4. It's that's based on millimeters. That's the default. And at that point, you try to like I'll assign maybe a thickness to it by doing the same thing I did before, which is place on a solidifier, modifier as well as a subdivision surface. Now, I see some things are looking a little bit ugly. That's because I'm missing a few spots of where I should be increasing the mean crease. And you'll see me start selecting the inside of all these triangles to get the mean crease on each one of these things larger so that it doesn't look as bad when you do a subdivision modifier. Now, I am no means an expert in Blender, so that's why you'll see me do the long way of selecting things, a tedious way. Some people have a better idea of how to do it. I just don't. I don't do this daily, day-to-day as part of my job. This is the hobby for me. So that's why you'll see, you may have like comments, and by all means put them down below, but you may have comments saying, hey, you should try this, and by all means, I'm still learning day to day. As you see, we're going to start. We think we got everything. I think I figured it out. I go hit apply for the subdivision surface, and bam, terrible. I have to redo it again because right now the middle pieces need to be hardened up so that, or decreased more so that it gets rid of it, as you can see there. All right, let's change things up and let's go with something by the Sugar Hill Gang called Rapper's Delight. Now I just added these solidify, and now you can see these edges look a little bit rough, so you go to rim and you just change it to where it looks like it's decent. And that's basically what a solid visor is going to look like. And we'll make a second visor afterwards, and I'll show you that. But now we just keep moving one piece at a time. Make it look nice, add it back. And here you'll just see me start taking apart the geometry just to see what looks right and what doesn't look right. Like say under here, it would be better or more uniform to have a line going straight across as opposed to a triangle breaking up at that point. And now I can take that piece at the bottom I can make turn it into a quad, turn that into a quad, and now things will start looking a lot better. At this point, you'll notice I'm selecting all the edges I think that should have a sharp crease, and at that point I'm just going to pick everything that I want, and you'll see when I go to the right where it says mean crease, I'm going to take and apply, bump it up to 90 or 0.9. What's great about subdivision, it kind of shows me where I might have missed selecting things and creating a crease that should be there. It looks a lot better when you do that way. Up next, we've got Michael Jackson's Thriller, because what video tutorial would be complete without the King of Pop himself? Take it away, Michael. Now here's an interesting add-on that you should probably utilize. It's called the Loop Tools, I believe. And one of the things you can have on it is like flatten or circle. And we just clicked on circle on this point. It just creates a uniform square. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put a little bit of detail embedded into this front portion without using a boolean. Because the less booleans you use, the better off your model ends up being. But you see right now you've got this little tiny dot or circle that needs to be created, so I'm going to try to create it best I can by doing a couple of inserts and then just taking one piece in and leaving the rest out. Now whenever you're doing a circle, you probably want it to be around like 100% depending on how you want it to look. That's going to make some sharp rings going around, but if you want it more like a wave, then you're probably going to have to lower the mean crease for these things. All right, let's slow things down with an artist that was basically crammed down my throat as a kid. So here's Frank Sinatra with I Did It My Way, or just my way in this case. Now, you see, I'm looking at one of the side add-ons, and that's this little square over here. I'm trying to make three circles pop out of it because of one of the details that looks like that. So one of the easiest things you can do is you just select the three areas or any square area that you think you can use, and then you will just separate it out completely. If you notice real quickly, I would select the boxes and hit P to part them out, and then hit Control Z to undo it completely, so that it would keep my original square intact. And then I would tab out of it, go to the thing that I selected, that I pulled out, that I parted out with the P command, and then I would start extruding out. You'll see right now I'm extruding them to look a little bit more nicer. And then, in addition to that, I'll go back to the original object. I will do a little I to insert and a little E to extrude, and do like a -2 to just pop it in about 2 millimeters. And then I'll give that little detail a mean crease so that it actually pops when you take a look at it when it's all nice and done. Now here you're going to see me do a second type of way to create a little detail. And that is to not separate it out, but to actually keep it part of the original object. And like I said, the less booleans you end up having to join everything together, the better product I usually end up getting. And now looking at the red side add-on, you'll see how it kind of extruded past the blue one. So I'm trying to adjust it so that it kind of comes in, because I don't think it should be that way. And this is a lot of this stuff becomes like an artistic look. What do I like? What do I don't like? Not necessarily 100% true to the game, because a lot of things you can't have it that way. I mean, even the Spartans from Halo, you can't have the armor the way it is and have full range of motion. It just doesn't work. Moving on to a rock classic that I personally have to put into each one of my videos. Here is Guns N' Roses with Sweet Child of Mine. So I was running a little poll on the side on what song to play next, and the results are in. You guys asked for it, here it is. Now, if you haven't figured it out yet, a lot of this project becomes repetitive because that's what it is. It's just you piece everything out, and then you create the detail on each of the individual parts, and then you put everything back together. That's just how it works. So it may be a little bit boring at this point going forward, but eventually you'll see things start to make sense as you see the details come to life, or change up, or create new detail. And here's the back panel, which has a good example of what like the normals look like and what non-normals look like. You'll see when I delete some of these squares or edges, you'll see it has like a darker hue to it. Those are the wrong um, um, sides that you want showing up. That's not the way it's supposed to look. It's supposed to have like a lighter detail, like you can see there. And me, I'm just trying to create fins, so I did an extrusion, and then kind of like, you'll see basically how it comes together. Keep a sharp eye on the keyboard and how that goes, and all the keys that I'm pressing to kind of do it. Maybe I'll slow it down. I don't know what day of the week it is for you, but for me, it's Fall in Love Friday. So here's a classic by Lionel Richie, All Night Long. I think we can all agree to speed things up a little bit with the Eagles' Life in the Fast Lane. New part of the helmet, new song. Here it is. As you can see here, I'm going to do a Control R to add an edge through this, and then I'm going to hit I at this one point because I'm trying to create this little tiny thing. Just hitting I allows the entire thing to shrink down to a smaller size to do an inset, so to speak. And now I'm trying to make that detail that you're looking at. That was a refreshing song. And speaking of refreshing songs, here's an old school favorite from my past, Banditos by The Refreshments. As far as picking a new song, I think Lizzo's got it best saying it's about dang time. Take it away, Lizzo. And you'll see here that I needed to adjust where the vertices fell on these lines, the vertices, that little dot. So if you select the vertex and you hit GG, you're allowed to slide it along the lines without screwing up the model too much. So that's good to take note of that. I feel like you guys and I have been taking a little journey together. And with that in mind, I think it's time to play another song, one by Journey, called Don't Stop Believing. You'll see here that I'm just going to go to the under helmet, the gray portion, and I'm just trying to remove the part that I think that shouldn't interfere with where the visor should go. So right now I'm just going to start selecting the faces of anything that I think should be removed at this point. At this point, I'm just looking for filler to bring us to the next wonderful piece by Kevin MacLeod. Now, eventually what's going to happen is all these things are going to come together with the Booleans, and it's going to slow down your system a lot if it's not a strong computer. But one of the things you need to do is you have to have all these parts kind of intersect with each other. And you'll see here, and I'm going to start bringing some pieces into the areas where other pieces are to allow it to, when you join everything, that everything can just come together through the Boolean modifiers that I'll show you in a little bit. And you'll see here that I'm taking the exact same thing I did before, where I'm trying to make some pieces intersect with other pieces so that when they joined with a Boolean, that they print as one piece altogether. Now here you'll start to see me starting to create a few main pieces that are going to absorb all the Booleans together, and then all of that gets absorbed into one main piece, which is going to be the main helmet. And then you'll be able to export the STL with everything combined and attached to each other, as long as it's set up a certain way. Most times when I'm trying to combine pieces together, I'll do union on my Boolean add-on, and then I will do bmesh. You'll see it right there underneath the name of the thing I'm trying to combine. Insert placeholder for clever banter transitioning one song to the next song. I'm not quite sure why I'm still talking on these intros to the next song. You know what's playing next. I know what's playing next. Kevin MacLeod knows what's playing next. Here it is. At this point, I was trying to see if I can come up with a way to make the visor, the whole entire thing, come off and then go back on separate. But upon like trying to figure things out, it was more easier, so to speak, to just you see how messy it looks at this point. But it was much easier to just make it combined into one piece as opposed to have it separate out and be able to pull off of it. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Um, obviously, there's a few additional things I've done since the final thing, but there's not much difference between this product you see here versus what I was working on. Just a few little details. And one of the things I did was take out the glass, so that in case you wanted to make it with actual glass in it, that I removed the middle portions and made the structure all around it. I also took the file itself and just exported just the helmet with the glass attached. So this way, if you wanted to print it that way, you can. But making your own thing is not much different than what I did right here. If you found this video helpful at all, do me a favor, don't like and don't subscribe to it. What I'd rather you do instead, pick up your phone, reach out to a friend, and make sure they're doing okay. And if you didn't find the video helpful, well, I don't know what to say. Have a good day.